Got my tooth pulled out yesterday. Yeah. Okay, this one's live. Son Christ. Yeah, we got the baby seat, so we ain't got to keep it. You don't got to have it loud, you know what I'm saying? For the baby, I know the baby. I forgot about the baby, too. We can go ahead and get started, though, too, so. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's go ahead, clap it up. Sign Christ. Good to see y'all, brothers and sisters, in here. Start off by saying shalom, y'all, by Shem Yahshua Barakathum to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Thumb by Shem Yahshua to all the sisters. All right. It's good to see y'all in here tonight. We know we could be at another place doing something else, serving another God, but we out here with the priests and prophets of the Lord, serving the one true God of Israel, man. Yahweh by Shem Yahshua, man. All right. Let's see what we got. Let's go with questions. I know the brother, the trooper, had a question as well.
Genesis 26:26.
Okay.
Which states where the women gonna cook bread for the male, but he's not gonna eat it or be satisfied or something like that.
I think it might have a different precept than the one that you were looking for. I looked at it. Maybe I looked at a different one. Let's see. Might be a different one. By War Palad said the so-called white man is the devil. The Bible speaks. So that's right.
Oh, Slack.
Yeah. Leviticus. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Leviticus 26, verse 26.
Go up to verse 14 real quick.
Leviticus 26:14.
Mm-hmm.
But if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments,
Right.
So that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant.
Right. So, okay. Drop down to your question.
Leviticus 26:26. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven,
Mm-hmm.
and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and ye shall eat and not be satisfied.
Right. So what exactly is your question?
Like with the 10 women,
Mm-hmm.
bake your bread,
Right.
and you will eat and not be satisfied.
Okay. But like, what don't you understand about that one? Is it the 10 women? What is the?
Not be satisfied.
Okay, con. So yeah, that's why the context of this whole thing is starting from verse 14, right? So if you go into verse 26, I mean the beginning of chapter 26, it starts talking about all the blessings that will come to Israel for following the law, statutes, and commandments. Then at verse 14 and on down, it starts talking about the curses that will come upon you for not following the law, statutes, and commandments. So this is like a metaphor saying of the things that'll happen for you. You will have 10 women bringing you bread in one oven and bring it to you with weight, a lot of food, but you still won't be satisfied, right? And how can we see that in today's life and standards? You got to think about people here in America. Like we grew up hearing that statement, and I said similar things even before I had children. Like, why a lot of brothers sell dope? I got to get my kids diapers. I got to feed my children. I got to feed my family. Biggie Smalls had it in the song. He said, "Shout out to the lady that was up there calling the police on me. I was outside just trying to feed my daughter, selling crack." Like, nah, you didn't have to do that. We're not satisfied with just having oodles and noodles and ramen. You know what I'm saying? When other places, they don't have any of that. Biggie Smalls is in his damn name. He was a big brother. That brother had a lot of food to eat, man. He wasn't starving. And I'm sure there was a way he could have fed his daughter without selling crack. But he wasn't satisfied with that. He wants more. And he's going to do evil in order to have more. And that's kind of the spirit of our people today. You know, we meet people from different countries. They come and, like I said, it's not to take away from the suffering that we have here in America, because we know we are living in hell. But cats got a cell phone. They got Jordans. You know what I mean? They have access to certain things, and they're not starving to death anymore. Now, you go back 40, 50 years ago, Israelites here in America, Judites specifically, would definitely got your headpiece out. Yeah. It's one back there, though, you can throw on. It's just a headband like this. But you know what I mean? Like, read it again. Verse 26.
Leviticus 26 and 26.
Mm-hmm.
When I have broken the staff of your bread,
Mm-hmm.
10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight,
Mm-hmm.
and you shall eat.
And you shall what?
You shall eat.
Keep going.
And not be satisfied.
Right, keep going.
And if ye will not forward all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary unto me,
Right.
then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury. And I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins.
Right. And
ye shall eat the flesh of your sons.
Good night.
And the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat.
Right. And this prophecy did come to pass at different times in our history when we were going to war, when they exiled us out of Jerusalem in 70 AD. There's stories that people were so hungry, so starving, that they resorted into eating their own children, you know. So all of these things come with the curses. It's the same today. Another person, more recently, I talk about it a lot. Lil Durk. This is a perfect precept for Lil Durk. That's what I would pull on him. The brother is a multi-millionaire, probably worth. Let's see how much he's worth. Lil Durk. Y'all heard about Lil Durk? You know about him? What? You don't keep up with the youngster stuff, huh? He's like,
well, because he got incarcerated.
Right. Yeah, Lil Durk's net worth. What was he worth? Okay, they on here. I doubt that. I would say it's a little bit more. They say it's 8 million. I think it's a little bit more than that, man. These cats is getting even that though. Even if he's worth 8 million, but they running around putting $1 million on the table giving $100,000 here, $100,000 there. I know them brothers for their shows is getting more than that. But let's say even he had $8 million. That wasn't enough to satisfy him to be happy with his lifestyle and change the way he was living. He's still resorting to doing more evil, end up having nothing, and now he's starving, living in a hole, just like everyone else in the ghetto that he tried to escape from. You know what I mean? So these are the curses. Is like, unless you have it, to bring it full circle, why the truth is so important, why this is a good precept for tonight, being that it's Thanksgiving, is that the things that we look for to find our pride in are usually materialistic when it comes to following our oppressor's ways. So that's why they always say money never buys you happiness, because there's a certain point you make a certain amount of money, there's nothing more that you can buy to make you more happy. Another person, a perfect example, is P. Diddy, Sean Combs. It's like you have billions of dollars or millions of dollars, nothing else you can buy. You rode all the cars, you fly all the planes, you visited all the islands, you drank all the drink, you done all the drugs, you had sex with all the women. If you P. Diddy, you had sex with everything, animal, woman, all of that. There's nothing else he can do to really give himself excitement, because his life is about nothing. But when you come into the truth, this is what I was able to change my value in myself by learning there's more to life than materialistic things. Right? Give me Ecclesiastes, what's that, 9 and 12 or 12 and 12? And then we'll go on to tonight's breakdown. But people don't understand the reason why they're here. Lil Durk didn't know why he was here. P. Diddy, for sure in the hell, didn't know why he was put on earth. Ecclesiastes, what I want, 12? Yeah, 12 and verse 13. That's what Solomon was trying to figure out too the entire time in the book of Ecclesiastes. Shalom, Yahweh Shemar, Thon Bashim Yal Shai. To all the sisters that's logged on. We follow Christ. We don't listen to men. Okay, what is your point? We got the trolls in here. The white world is the hell that we all know. Okay, Most High in Christ. That's true. Oh, that's I whoop a lot. Who's this person out here? All right, go ahead.
Ecclesiastes 12:13.
Come.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Right.
Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Right. Like, fearing the Lord and keeping his commandments is your duty. This is what you're here to do. And if you do this, you're going to take care of your people. You're going to take care of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are not going to do things to harm your nation of people. You're going to be a righteous man keeping these commandments. That has value. But what does the world say? You're a high value man if you're able to fly on jets every day and eat steak. None of that is in this precept. It didn't say if you rock Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada, whatever the hell, if you have a 10-bedroom mansion, none of these materialistic things are what values a man in the eyes of the Lord. It's that his obedience to him and his willingness to have brotherhood with his brothers and sisters is what makes you a righteous man, and that's what gives you value. So now when you come into the school, not only do you just get value, I'm not going to say in the brotherhood, but the goal of, like Commander Johanna said, you should want to come here and just sweep the floors, man. You should want to move up the ranks and build up the school. You understand? So there's value in that. Someone else may think, okay, I got this job or I've got this degree. This is who I am. Man, becoming a trooper was way better than graduating from any college or institution to me. You understand what I'm saying? Or any job or anything that you can maintain in this society. No amount of money can put a price on that. You see what I'm saying? But people in the world, they have no purpose. So they find value in things that mean nothing. And they end up losing everything in that chase because they keep going and getting no fulfillment in life. Yeah. But that's a curse of not obeying the commandment. See how it goes together? You don't follow commandments, you're going to be chasing for a high you can never get. And if you follow these commandments, then you'll actually get fulfilled. And you won't end up doing those things that get you in these troubles, that get you in a bind, that now these curses come upon you. So that's why this Bible is so right and true and exact. All right. Most High in Christ. All right. Anybody else got any other questions? Any questions online? I see Smoked Efforts got a lot to say. Any questions or comments you want to put in? Did he separate himself from Boko? What is this brother saying? You have a father. I think this person is high. I'll have to block him in a minute. Y'all only 4 years old. Okay. Yeah, you're messing up the chat. Unless you want to come with something serious in the next 30 seconds, I'm in the blocking you from the chat. It's a lock, yeah. Okay, we got somebody with a serious question. If I may, can you find out? You don't find it on you. Can you break down Amos? Let me get Amos chapter 5. Okay. He's saying for the Christians who don't keep the laws of the Most High and think the return of Christ is going to be glorious for the wicked. All right, I think that's Kabbalah. Amos 5 and 18.
Amos 5 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh.
Right. Yeah.
To what end is it for you? The day of Yahweh is darkness,
Man.
not light.
Right. To me, yeah. I know we got a couple older cats, a couple youngsters in here. If you seen that movie Independence Day, you remember that one, Will Smith, a little bit? When the aliens came and there was a bunch of Edomites out there with a sign and they was welcoming them there, and then they hit them with the laser and blew them to smithereens. That's how it is right here. It's like Christians believe that they're waiting for Christ to return, waiting for the Lord to come when he is coming to put them to death. They don't know how evil they are. I think the brother Nakazah made a heavy post the other day. He said, "Get away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you." Paraphrasing, like, these people have been taught into learning who Yahushua is and thinking they're with him when really they're doing everything against him. And the main piece of the puzzle of the Christian church is one thing they can never teach. I'm going to ask y'all in the class, what is the one thing the Christian church can never teach? They may teach that Christ is black. They may teach, certain different ones may teach you can't celebrate holidays. They'll take pieces and parts of the Bible and give you some truths out of the Bible, but it's one thing that none of them, Methodists, Baptists, I don't know, I forgot all the different names. Go ahead. Ooh, that's close. That's close. That's not quite it. Only loves Israel. Ooh, that's a good one. That might be, that's on there too, but it's not what I want. I see you could come on my thing. Go ahead. There you go. That was it. Most all right. It is. Because a house divided against itself cannot stand. They cannot cast out Satan and be of Satan. So it's in their like clause or something. Like if they had one thing they're gonna sign off before you leave the ministry school, what do they call it? The seminary school is gonna be you cannot teach that the law is still in effect. You have to teach that there's no more. Because if you start teaching the law, then you will make people follow God. You understand? So they cannot do that. So that's what the Christian church has done. And this is why Christ, they're just reproducing enemies of Christ. So keep going.
19.
Yeah.
Amos 5:19. As if a man did flee from a lion
Mm-hmm.
and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him.
Right. There's no way of escaping it. It's just the same thing in the movies too. You know, you leave from one bad instance, you run outside, it's a whole nother thing that's chasing you. You run into the house and you try to rest on the wall. Whew, I made it. It's a damn snake trying to kill you. You can't escape the Lord in this day. And that's shows how evil the Christian church is, because they are getting you away from being safe, getting you away from true salvation of the Lord. Keep going.
Amos 5:20. Shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it?
Right. Like, and then that's the thing too. When you teaching that God is all love, He loves all nations, like Trooper Mawar Khan was saying, that this all loving God is evil in itself, and they make us sound evil for teaching that because it just doesn't sound good, doesn't make you feel good, and that's what the Christian church plays on, is about how you feel about things. It doesn't matter what the truth is, and when they do that so much, that's where we get this whole democratic voting, democracy, equality. Everything has to be equal. Nothing is different. Everything is the same. They teach that in America so much, they don't realize how evil that is. I was even thinking about this whole thing, this is happening more as I'm getting a little bit older, because I guess, new sisters come up with a different mentality. I can't say I wasn't around a long time ago either in the world talking about things like this, but a man having more than one wife. Like the new thing now is, sister, as soon as you say a man can have more than one wife, what are they gonna say? Let me see what you got out.
Can a woman have more than
Exactly. That's equality. That's America. That's exactly what America teaches. If you can do this, I can do that. And if we can't do the same thing, something is wrong with this relationship. But that's not reality. There is no equality. Everywhere else you go in the world, there is hierarchies. When you go to your job, they cannot make a business with everybody equal. Where is that at? Where do they do that at? Somebody tell me. You have a supervisor, the manager, the director, regional director, you got the CEO, the CFO, you got somebody that's telling somebody else what to do. Even in America, they tell you it's equality, but they have the president. They have all these people that have higher rank than other people and have more authority than them. But in our mind, we've been brainwashed with Christianity, saying everything should be the same. And then if it's not, something is wrong with that. But when women want men and women to be the same, and there is no rank and authority in that, to me, it's like opening the door. You don't see this one thing right here is going to lead to all these other things after it. What am I saying by that? You go back into the LGBT movement when Barack Obama made it lawful for men to get married to men. Back then, it was a big deal, but once people got over it, they was like, what's the big deal? That's what everybody said. Hey, my business is their business. Who cares? They can do what they want to do. Who knew 10 years later, they're going to have a grown man in the octagon beating your daughter half to death? Because they're saying that men, I got the water out. They're saying now that a man can become a woman. A trans woman is a woman. And there's no difference. That's because equality. Women said, what's the difference between me and you? You can have more than one wife. I can have more than one man. We're the same. Okay, well, yeah, if there's no such thing as a difference between me and you, then there's no difference between a man and a woman. That's you're promoting transgenderism. By that little thought, you don't see how far it can go, but just because you think it's just about me and you in this relationship, you're not looking how it affects the whole society, just saying something like that alone. That's evil. A man cannot have a child in his belly. He cannot have, they say that now. Y'all heard that? They say, can men get pregnant? They say, yeah, trans men can get pregnant. Go ahead.
There's been like a extremely evil, strange trend where there's been trans women getting pregnant. Like, look at
yeah.
Man, like,
yep. I saw
3 of them so far.
Damn. Yeah.
Like where the woman's getting pregnant, it's like you're a whole man. They're a whole woman.
Yeah.
Looks like a man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And right. And they literally are disrespecting real women. When they do that, that's evil against women to do that. All the things that women have gone through and have to go through. And now in their mind, they're saying a man can convert and become a woman just by saying it. And we have to agree with it. Go ahead,
It's funny because I got into like an argument online on Instagram about it, and it's just it's to the point where if you don't agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
as a man, they'll actually go out of their way to attack women. Like they'll be like, okay, like an example would be there's a trans person on my page, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made a comment just like, you still a man, right?
Right.
And then underneath everything, it was things like, oh, but they're prettier than actual women.
Oh yeah, I heard about stuff like that. Yeah.
Like, and they'll actually go out of the way to attack a woman,
Right.
to justify them being a woman at the same time. It's like you hate women.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hate women.
No, yeah, Commander Jenny Hanna, get that brother here too. Commander Jenny Hanna's been saying that for years. That whole LGBT movement, those men really hate women because they're not women, and that all that aggression, you gotta call me ma'am, and all that—that's the masculinity in them. Forcing you to call them a woman is a masculine thing to do. Like you really don't hear the other ones, the women becoming men, really pushing this movement like that. It's mainly the men becoming women that are trying to push this agenda. Like, nigga, you better respect me. Like, nigga, relax. Like, you a whole, you know what I mean? You have a different energy. But all I'm saying, the point of this is being equal. You don't know how evil that can be. And once you start teaching that, it opens the door for so many other things. And that's just one of those examples that us being equal is it's harmful. You know what I mean? Like, even like, let's say a brother came into the school and tried to fight to be equal. How could that harm us? It's the same way. Like, we all the same. We all equal. There is no rank. Do whatever we want to do. Now, when you go out, this situation happened, this situation happened, nobody knows who's in charge, and we all get jammed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what America teaches, and that's what the Christian church promotes. So it all goes hand in hand. But Slagia, go ahead.
It was 5:21.
Yes.
I despise your feast days. I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
Right. So this is a perfect precept for today as well for Thanksgiving, because these feast days that we get that come from this place are the ones that we want to keep, but they're the ones that the Lord hates. And all the ones that the Lord loves is the ones that we run away from. And the Lord is he's not with your grandma cooking Thanksgiving turkey tonight. He's not with your mom making all these collard greens and all that, being like Kamala Harris cooking them in the bathtub. That's not where the Lord is at. But just because something makes you feel good or it sounds good doesn't make it right. And that's what we need the scriptures to understand. All right. So let's go ahead from that. If there's anything else, I don't see any other questions online. I'm going to go ahead, and the night's class is called Compelled to Do Evil. And the first precept I want to get is in Maccabees. Anybody got their apocrypha on them? It's in Maccabees chapter 4. We start off with that. I think it's in the first one. 1st and 4. Let's see. Matter of fact, hold on. Before we get to that one, let's go to 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Let's see. Take this off. Go ahead when you got it.
1 Maccabees 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Right. So, once again, what is it saying right here? We at 4 and what, 41? Hold on. Call it out again. Go from the top again. So like it.
First Maccabees 1:41.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the one. Go ahead.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom
Mm-hmm.
that all should be one people,
Right.
and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Right. So once again, and the water for that, I forgot we did have that. That's another thing. Like he is teaching this doctrine of being one. If there's one, we sit at the round table, we all equal. But in reality, who is in charge? Antiochus. He wants these Greeks to be in charge to run everyone. But he's coming with an idea and telling everybody if we come together and be one, then we'll be more powerful. That's the American dream. That's the melting pot. This is what he's talking about. Keep going.
First Maccabees 1:43.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Right. So these things were pushed upon our people the same way Thanksgiving is pushed upon our people, the same way Christmas is pushed upon our people, the same way New Year's, Easter, Valentine's Day. When you try to take these things away from us, our people will fight you. You understand? Like every different one has a different person that's coming against you. Thanksgiving, it might be your grandma. She didn't cook all this food. Why you didn't come over? Christmas is going to be your mom. Why can't I get the kids no gifts? Valentine's Day, it's your woman. You understand? The birthdays, it's your kids. Then you get to 4th of July, it's your partners in the world. You ain't going to come out and go to the club. Like every holiday, they got someone's mentality geared up to fight against you to celebrate these things. And that's why it says that many of the Jews actually consented to these things and went along with them. Keep going.
First Maccabees 1:45. It's like 43. Yea, many also. It's like 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem and the city of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Right.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Right, and that's the same thing. They go against the festival days. They don't talk about Passover in the Christian church. They don't talk about the Feast of Tabernacles. They don't talk about the blowing of the trumpets. They profane that and say the law is done away with, but for some reason, they have to keep these these holidays in America and all around the world that these Europeans have taught us. Keep going.
Verse 46, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people.
Right.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
Right. It's not a coincidence that you got to eat ham every Thanksgiving, ham every Christmas. You think it just comes with the territory? We've grown up, man, the chitlins. Good night. They put it in the culture that this is a day to go against the Lord. And we don't even know it. We grew up with the ham hocks and the greens. Everything was pork laden. I know the Issachaриtes, the same thing with lard and all these different pork things are put into these high holy days. It's like you can't have a holiday without pork in it. And there's something wrong with you if you don't got it. Keep going.
Verse 48, they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of cleanness and profanation.
Good night. And that's Salaki. I'm not even going to go into that. Even they didn't want to touch into that. But they saying they made their souls unclean with all manner of profaneness and uncleanness. So that is all of the types of debauchery that you can think of is that they imparted in us and made us, partake in these things. It's the same way, like they say, Puff Daddy, he is a perfect example. It's sad they keep using the brother, but he is a perfect example of what was going on back then. We think that partying and doing all this stuff is new. They actually read what the ancient Greeks were doing and copy what they were doing. That's where they get all these orgies and stuff. And so he would find pride in turning someone into becoming a rainbow person. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what their whole objective was to do. And that's how the Greeks were getting down. That's how the Romans were getting down. It's like, keep going.
49, to the end, they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Right. So that's a part of it. They want us to forget the law and change our ordinances because we're the only nation that would not bow down to Caesar because of our God. It's one thing to do business with them. It's another one thing to pay taxes to them, but to fully submit to them, if we're following the laws of God, we can never fully. There's always going to be a faction in Israel that's never going to submit to these governments. And they have to get these brothers out the way from teaching these things to the people. Now let's read verse. This is the last one I want to hear, but this is important because they started off talking about we want to unite all nations like it's some brotherhood thing. But what's really going on here? Read it.
Verse 50.
Mm-hmm.
And whosoever will not do
Right.
according to the commandment
Right.
of the king, he said he should die.
Right. So it wasn't this was not a friendly offering of saying we're going to come together by following one law and following the king's law. This was a get down or lay down law. You're either going to do what we say or we're going to put you to death. And that's it. But after doing it for so long, we begin to love these things and think it's a part of our culture. And we end up, like I said, fighting you over trying to stop doing these things. And let's go to the next one. Let's go to 2 Maccabees and 6 and 18. Let's see what we got here. Hold on, this might not be. Hold on. Oh, yeah, it's 2 Maccabees. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong one here. Go ahead. You got it. You're the right one.
2 Maccabees 6 and 18. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
Right. They came to him because he was an elder that was respected. He had a lot of authority in Israel, had a lot of honor, and they compelling him. That's where I'm getting the title. They compelling him like, hey, eat this swine's flesh. Everybody's doing it. We need you to do it because this, that, and the third. Explain it. Keep going.
In 19. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment. 20. As it behooved them to come, that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love, like to be tasted.
Right.
21. But they that had the charge of the wicked beast for the old acquaintance, they have with the men, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision.
Right. So what's being said here? When you go back up to verse 9, he said, but he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment. So he's saying, man, if I do this, I'm going to have my life. But I'm going to live like a coward. I'm going to live on my knees. I'm not going to die gloriously. I'm going to die in my bed, comfortable. I'm going to be a slave, but I'm going to have my life. That's something that we have lost here in this place in America. When I say we, I'm talking about in general, not the brothers in the UPK. We're the ones that have the spirit of Eleazar right here, man. This is the spirit that we need to have. This is why this story is here. I always say this. When you hear about the story of the sister in Maccabees when they wanted her sons to eat the pork, and her sons all got killed and maimed for not eating the pork, that sometimes you can get sidetracked and think that this is the majority. When in reality, these people that were standing up for stuff like this oftentimes were the minority of Israel. It was a lot of us that got down and went and ate the swine's flesh. It was a lot of us that were working with these oppressors and were scared to lose their life and became snitches. It's the same thing that's going on today with the police. They come, jam people up, people turn on their people in order to save their life. Right. Instead of going out gloriously and doing what's right and paying for the consequences of your decision. And that's even a brother that's doing something wrong, but it's still something at least right in taking accountability for your crime. You shouldn't go in there and snitch on someone else to get out of your situation. These brothers didn't do anything wrong, could have got out of the situation, but he would have gave up his whole nation of people. So what's going on in verse 21 though? Read that one again. We'll have a brother break it down.
Verse 21. Mm-hmm. But they that had charge of the wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with men, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision.
Right. What is that saying? What does that mean, Nayat?
Like trying to get him to agree to do this.
Okay.
In front of the others. You know what I'm saying? Because right. He's a man of, I guess, stature.
Right. What does it say? Taking him aside. So it says, but they that had charge of the wicked feast. These people that were in charge of this feast pulled him to the side because they knew him. Yeah. And they said, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, it explained a little bit more. I'll let you, but you know what it means. Come on, Ma, go ahead.
I think so, sir.
Yeah.
They basically have the brother do a bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's eating something that's actually lawful.
Right.
To the people, it looks like he's eating something unlawful.
Right. And it explains it more in a little bit after, but I just was, seeing brothers, recognize it. But yeah, get a brother here to come on, Ma. Yeah, that's it. It'll reveal this part in the second part. Keep going.
Such as was lawful for him to use, mm-hmm. and make as if he did eat the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Right. And so that's what he's telling them to do. Like, hey, you don't even have to actually eat this swine's flesh. Mm-hmm. You can just act like you're doing it. In the movies all the times when they sitting with the drug dealer and they trying to find out who this person is, they tell them, go ahead, snort this cocaine so we can know you good. The homeboy be like, all right, you ain't even got to just snort the cocaine. This is baby powder. This is, flour. This is sugar. Just act like you're doing it. And then we'll go ahead and get in here and we'll be able to buy this dope from this dude. Keep going.
Verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
That in so doing, he might be delivered from death, from the old friendship with them, find favor.
Right. So they saying, save your life. Keep going.
Verse 23. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his great head, whereunto he was come, his most honest education from a child,
mm-hmm.
or rather, the holy law made and given by God. Therefore, he answered accordingly, and willed them straightway to send him to the grave.
To send him to where?
To the grave.
To where?
To the grave.
So this brother was among these righteous men and women that kept the law regardless if it was life or death. And we always get these random questions. I hear it all the time, man. You battle a Christian, you talk about pork. The first thing they're going to ask you is, well, if you on an island and you don't have no food to eat, you're going to starve to death. And if it's pork there, you're going to eat the pork to survive. For one, it's a situation that has never happened but there's no fish on the island. There's no chicken on the island. There's nothing else to eat that's lawful but a pig to eat. They want to put you in this situation that doesn't exist so they can continue doing what they want to do when they know they don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I think of another example of that. It's just like people do that all the time, man. They're like, so what if this happens? Well, what? Go ahead.
Before I came into the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was following the dietary laws. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I followed the dietary laws, but I was not in the truth. My point is, I had gotten into a situation like that with two brothers at the slavery.
Right.
Same situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would I do? I'm like, hey, I just started there.
Right. Right.
And these brothers laughed
Mm-hmm.
and attempted to ridicule.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So they will ridicule you for following the laws, statutes, and commandments, man.
And having morals,
Uh,
having standards, but out of a situation that's not even going to happen.
Right.
That's the sad part, because the only thing they want you to do is break your morals so that you can be like them and go get a pork sandwich today with them. So if you would eat it when you were starving, you might as well go eat it today. That's their real agenda. It has nothing to do with actually someone being on an island starving with no food to eat. It has to do with the reason why they can't stop celebrating Thanksgiving today. Why can't you give it up today? Because there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. There's something wrong with how you're thinking. You see what I'm saying? In order for you to be right, I got to be wrong. I have to change my life. And this brother right here said, no, I'm not going to do that. The things that I grew up with, this holy law that came from the Most High, is this important to me. Keep going. Verse 24. Yeah.
For it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, were now gone to a strange religion.
Right. So what I think, 80 is 80 years plus 10, about 90 years old. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's about 90 years old. And he's saying, man, I done made it this long in my life, and I have been standing by these laws. But now for me to come and do this, to set this example for the young men coming up, I can't go out like that. That's not how I want to be remembered. Keep going.
Verse 45. So they through my hypocrisy
Mm-hmm.
and desire to live a little time, a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to my old age and make it abominable.
Man, that's why we got to endure to the very end, man. That's the thing as well. Like, coming to this truth, endure to the end, no matter what comes your way. Man, don't leave the truth. Buy the truth and sell it not. Don't turn into things that you've done, and then you can make someone else weak. Like we hear about this half a homosexual that's leaving the truth last week or whatever he got going on. I don't even know. I barely even seen a couple posts on Facebook. Whatever the hell this brother got going on about some council he's upset about. All of that to be right against all of the right things the UPK does, he's going to leave everyone to be right and help no one. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order, him being right is so important. But this young brother's life, you could change or help change his life and his family's life in the direction of their whole heritage by you staying the course and doing what's right and the truth. You said, forget all that. Forget the youngster, forget the woman, forget the baby, all of that. I'm going to go and do this. And like I said, it's always one, you know, I ain't even going to get, it's two more, it's a lot of moments, I ain't going to lie, that stand out in the truth. But one moment really stood out to me, man, was I was in the Pacific Northwest, and it was a sister in there, and we had a class, and she was getting her name, and the teacher was like, hey, you know, you mind if we tell the story of how you came into the school and all that? And she was like, sir, it's okay, go ahead, tell it. And she basically said, you know, he started telling the story. He said, yeah, the sister had gotten pregnant. She was going to have a baby. She wanted to get an abortion. And she was watching the class, and she saw the number come across the screen. She said, you know what? Call the number. She called the number. She got counsel, and her brother talked her to it, and she ended up having a baby. And I'm not knowing the story, you know what I'm saying? I'm just in the classroom, and the kids is running around. Her daughter's running around making noise and doing this and knocking stuff over. And I'm not knowing until the story come out like, yeah, we looking at this baby right here that wouldn't be here if the brothers in the school wasn't here. You understand? And I'll never forget that moment. I'm like, this is why we here, man. This is why we do the work we're here. Now, if Commander Johanna would have said, you know what, this argument or this reason is why I can't do this work. If General Mahia, all the other different brothers for that moment to happen would have gave up over this disagreement that this brother left for whatever the hell reason he left for, he didn't care about the young people behind him that he could save or help over wanting to be right so goddamn much, which is why we say it's a demon that led him. He wasn't able to endure to the end, man. But stuff like that is what this brother is talking about right here. He said, I'm not going to let my name go, and that the youth that come after me can be lost because of my decision in being weak. All right. Anything else? Let's see. I think that's too wild. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's it for that. All right, let's drop that one. Let's go to 6 and 6. This is the last one we'll get on this. Second Maccabees 6 and 6. Baruch. But these things that these nations compel us to do is for a reason. And our people have Stockholm syndrome. We talk about it a lot in the truth and in the school. I'm going to go ahead and send this to a brother real quick. Let's see, I'll send it to. Go ahead, up.
Second Maccabees 6 and 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself to all to be a Jew at all to be a Jew.
Right. I think he went up a little bit more. Go to verse 4 real quick.
Verse 4.
No, start at verse 1, Salaki.
Verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Second Maccabees 6, verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
Right, there go that word again, man. To compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their father, man. This is the order of the king. To compel the people. What does that mean, man? What does that word mean? Somebody, what do you, just off the top, go ahead.
Force.
Yeah. The force. It's not an ask. It's not asking. See, even me, I was like, until I look it up, like compel, I think it's almost like a begging you or like pleading with you. Nah, this is compelling you. Is like, you have to do this. This is either life or death. If you don't do this, we're going to kill you. So the definition is force, someone to do, coerce, pressurize, pressure, impel, drive, press, drive forcibly. All right. This is what they came to do. We can drop down to verse 4.
Verse 4. For the temple was filled with riot and revelry by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
Right.
Verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbid.
Right.
Verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts or profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Right. So why do these things always go hand in hand? It's the food, it's the harlots. They were sleeping with harlots in the temple. Drugs. Why does that all go hand in hand? Why do you think the oppressor, why do you think they use this text? I mean, it always, this might just be for a long time, because R. Kelly was one thing. He had his vice. He was weird, but Puff Daddy embodies like everything evil in what men that follow the white man do. You know what I'm saying? Like he made it to the top. He's a billionaire. He had money, power, people respected him. He made it to a different level, but he got it to the level by doing all these things. Why is it that they have to compel you to do these things to get to that point? Go ahead.
To defile your soul, and go against the Most High.
Con. Well, give me something. What else you got?
I was just gonna say it's deliberately anti-Christ.
Okay. What do you mean? A little bit more. I like that.
Slovakia, as in their culture is built up like how they make them have harlots in the temple. That's their culture. They would they have oracles and they would have them actually be harlots and they would actually go and worship these women just to spite God himself. Slovakia.
Okay. So maybe I'll clarify. That's right too. Clarify the question a little bit more and make it more sense. How are we tying this into Thanksgiving? Why does it always start with the food? And then it goes into this and it goes into that. It's like it's different levels, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry, sir. Is it because that's like the baseline that the whole family can get behind because it's a meal that you don't share with everyone in your family?
That's part of it. It's close. Y'all getting closer. Come on, mind. What you got?
But I would just say,
It starts with the food, and you answered it kind of with your coworkers. Well, what am I getting at? Like, in order for them to do this, they gotta start with this. Go ahead.
like you said, to be compelled to evil, right? And once you're compelled to evil, those that are younger than you that follow you, is to have you perpetuate that whole thing. And you know what? It's like,
Go ahead.
You talk about maybe a little off track.
No, go ahead, please speak.
You compare, like R. Kelly with P. Diddy, for example, right? The stuff that R. Kelly did, was kind of like he was a victim, and then so in turn he victimized other people, right?
Right.
Unclean spirits jumped on him, so he put unclean spirits on other people,
right.
Whereas P. Diddy, that dude, man, he pretty much learned from the oppressor. Right? He learned on a different level where, coming from like the fraternity.
Right.
Because he was indoctrinated completely with the white man's system and how they victimized people. Right. But if I may get back
that's you touching on all of it. Keep going.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I'm not sure if I'm on the right tip or not, but the reason, could you repeat the question?
So, okay. I know I'm vague with my questions, right? Thanksgiving, right, is so important to America, but it seems so innocent. It's just a meal with your family. What could be wrong with that? It's just a little bit of pork. What could be wrong with that? Go ahead and eat the flesh. Like, it's one brother that's willing to die for it. It's one family with sisters and sons, they willing to die for it. To all the other 10,000 people watching it, it's like, this nigga's crazy. This is how they look at us in the truth. What is wrong with y'all? You're making a big deal about Thanksgiving. It's just a meal. How evil can it be? Chilling with your grandma, chilling with your cousins, seeing your auntie, uncles. That's just eating this meal, just taking this swine flesh. It always starts with that. But why is that so important to them? Because of all these other things that come after it. Go ahead.
The reason it's so important because our oppressor knows these scriptures. They know the end. They know what it's going to take for Christ to come.
Okay.
So the more they can keep us being lawless, not following the law, statutes, and commandments, they believe that they can lengthen the time that it takes for Christ to come.
Okay. No. You're looking at it in a broad way. I'm looking at the individual. Like I said, like PJ, I'm gonna give it to y'all for time saying let's Nayak want to take a shot at it.
To maintain these feast days.
Okay. If I can get you to do this, then I can get you to do that. And if I can get you to do that, then I can get you to do this. You see how one small thing opened up a door for everything else? if I could control what goes into your mouth and what you're eating, that opens up the door because you have no moral, you have nothing to stand on, that I can force you to eat something. You see what I'm saying? Like that movie, or not movie, the TV show. Joe Rogan was on it. Fear Factor. Half of the show was making people eat disgusting things. And you know, they said the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't even want to repeat it in class. Salakia. The last episode, he said, they came up with an episode where they were making the people. Can I even say this? Does anybody know the story at least without? I might have to say it after class. I don't want to even. It got bad, man. They made people fluids from an animal. And they were going to make people consume this for money. And it's like, if you're going to do this to get this money, you'll do anything, man. Go ahead.
It's similar to the scripture in Second Maccabees where the Romans were trying to force the women and her children to eat the swine's flesh.
Right. Yeah, that's the one we're gonna talk about it on Hanukkah. Yeah, it's the same thing. This all is at the same time. But this was the biggest push they ever did because the other nations, they kept trying to conquer Israel, but they didn't understand the law part of it in conquering us. It's like they would let us go to Syrian captivity and still kind of keep our culture. And they would let us go to the Babylonian captivity and we'd be amongst them, but we could still kind of maintain our culture and identity. The Greeks tapped into something. They're like, this is the problem right here. We need to wipe their culture out. And this is how we can conquer these people. If they take in our culture, then we will dominate them for the next 4,000 years. They don't have any culture. They don't have any boundaries. They don't have any rules. They are whoever we say they are. They do whatever we tell them to do. And the first step is what you eat. It would be one thing if they went in front of everybody and they said, have sex with this man on the crowd in front of everybody. That would have been a little extreme. You see what I'm saying? Like, P. Diddy is not doing that. That's not how they start. That's not how the party started. You come to the party, they're like, man, eat some of that shrimp, crab. Oh, no, I don't need shrimp. Why you don't need shrimp? Come on, man, you country boy. You better get you some of that shrimp. Come on over here, man. This is high-class society. Welcome to New York City. Eat some of this pork. Eat some of that crawfish. Eat some of this lobster, man. Come on, get you a plate of that. This is a delicacy. You don't know about escargot? A nigga from the hood don't want to eat no escargot. Who wants to eat a snail? But they make it seem high class, like you're a part of something, that you're elevated, you're more cultured. When you eating this escargot, which is a snail, when you eat a lobster, which is a roach of the sea or whatever, you know what I mean? Now you're in the in group. Okay, then you come to the after party. Hey, snort a little powder with us. I don't even smoke weed, man. What you mean you don't smoke weed? You in Manhattan. Look at the $1 million. Look at the view outside. You ain't gonna store no coke. You ain't gotta worry about no money. You with us now, playboy. You ain't gonna store no coke. You see what I'm saying? Then now you do this. Now it's back here. You ain't gonna sleep with this woman. You ain't gonna sleep with this man. You ain't gonna sleep with this child. Like, it's gonna keep going. And the more and more they get you without any morals, any standards, the more evil they get on you. Because if they got that man to eat that swine, now they control him. Because he knows, for one, his spirit is broken. Because he used to stand on something and believe on something. Now you convince him to eat this swine. He doesn't even have the courage to stand up for himself. So you're going to do whatever the hell these white folks tell you to do. And that's what happened to P. Diddy. Now when he's saying, well, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. They're like, man, we got so much tapes on you. You know what happens if you try to stand up and do something? It's no getting out of this. You didn't got yourself too far deep into this. You wanted that power and that money so much, got to the top of it, realized none of that makes you happy. You're like, man, you know, I actually love black people. Theoretically, they're saying that's what happened. If this is a story they're always telling, that one of the brothers try to go against them and try to do something for black people, and they take them down because they did all these evil things to get to the top. And that's how they've been doing it since these days. So why are they having orgies in the temple? Because they started off with that meal, with that food. And then they moved it up to this. And then they moved it up to that. Then they moved it up to this. And then they pushed it to that. And now the whole place is defiled and looking like Sodom and Gomorrah. And people wondering what happened. And that's why when they say we're crazy for making a big deal about Thanksgiving, Christmas, and celebrating birthdays, but they don't see that if you have a nation of people that don't say no to nothing, they'll say yes to anything. You understand? All right. Let's read verse 6 again. Go ahead, Doc.
Term for that is being a slippery slope.
Brother Ann, yep. It's a slippery slope. And these laws is to keep us on the top of that mountain. We're not supposed to go down. It's all set for a reason. And it goes the other way too. And that's the brilliance of the Lord. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna control what you eat. So you know who's in charge. I'm gonna control how you dress. I'm gonna control who you lay with. I'm gonna control all these things in your life. And you're going to have to submit and obey to me, or you're going to get put to death too. So he's the same as the other king too. Don't get it twisted. It's one or the other. But one is going to benefit you more and one is going to hurt you. You see what I'm saying? So the Lord is playing the same game as Antiochus. He's just saying, I am the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. You don't obey him, you obey me. I said don't eat pork, even if you got to die. I don't say eat pork even if your whole family got it. It don't matter. You listen to what I'm telling you to do, and this is it. Don't be scared of him more than you're scared of me, because you're going to end up in something you think is going to be beneficial. It's going to be worse for you in the long end. And so, yeah, the Lord, it's important that we submit to the Lord and give that power to him. And it shows he's righteous, because when we do obey it, positive things happen for our people. But when we follow these oppressors and do what they're saying, none positive came from us following this culture. Shalaki. Read verse 6 and we'll move on.
2 Maccabees 6, chapter 6, verse 6. Neither was it lawful.
That was a lot of goddamn Shalaki. I think he said chapter 6, verse.
Yeah, chapter 6, verse 6.
2 Maccabees, chapter 6, verse. Okay, yeah, Shalaki. Go ahead.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days,
Right.
ancient feasts,
Right.
or to profess himself and Paul to be a Jew.
Right. So that brings us to the next couple of precepts I'm going to get to, and we ain't going to spend too much more time. But it's just, they took away our culture, they took away our boundaries, and once we don't have any way of life, we'll be a part of anything. And we don't say no to nothing. We've been raised to say yes to everything. And that first step is that meal, man. I seen a post by somebody, I think it was a fake Israelite trying to battle me, but one of his posts I was scrolling his timeline, it was funny, it was ironic. He said, I just got into a battle with a Muslim about why I should celebrate Christmas with him. I'm like, good night. That's America if you ever saw it. You know what I mean? They don't even believe in Jesus. The whole religion is anti-American, but they will have a Muslim. I don't know what kind of Muslim he was talking about. I don't know if it was a black Muslim or a Muslim. Either way, it's a crazy story. But what does Christmas have to do with Islam at all? Nothing. But they will sit and argue with you about doing these things when, as I said, it's everybody. Everybody does the same things. No one else has any lines, and so it's easy for them to conquer the world. But when you have these boundaries, that gets in the way. Your culture is the first step to conquering a nation of people. Give me Isaiah 1 and 3.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider.
Right. Like the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel does not know. My people does not consider. We have lost the complete understanding. They wiped that out of our history of being an Israelite in this culture. At this time, the people that did know didn't care about it, didn't hold on to it, didn't think it was important. And that's something that's been in our people's spirit, that we always want to be inviting to other people, that we feel bad from separating from other people when none of them other people have those feelings about us. Samoans don't feel bad about not letting niggas over. You know what I'm saying? The Vietnamese don't feel bad about it. The Africans don't feel bad about it. The Arabs don't feel bad about it. Only blacks and Hispanics. We have to invite everyone and be a part of. Have you ever heard even invited to the barbecue? They don't even say that in their cultures. That's a black thing. Right. Inviting other people. And we always had it. I grew up with it. You would see it all the time. And I was a part of it too. Like if you see one white boy that can't dance at all, but try to do, if he come to the black party and do anything, he just do some black. It's like, oh, look at him go. Like you cheer him on. When a black man go into them white, go into a redneck bar, the whole thing get quiet. They look at you. They not about to cheer you on in there dancing with them. They want you to get the hell out of there. You see what I'm saying? But we want to invite them in, that the Lord had to make it a law. Commander Yohan always says it. The Lord had to make it a law for us to separate from other people, to protect us from other people, because we're such a kind and welcoming people. It's just like Christopher Columbus. They always say, he said he met the Native Americans and never met such a nice and kind and loving people. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, a month or two later, he's slaughtering everybody, taking all their gold, kidnapping them, raping their women because they were so giving. It's like he's not even used to seeing people act like this, that it's like a lick. It's a, you know how they always talk about this thing. When I went down south, I never really heard of this, but people down south are welcoming like that. They have that energy, like, hi, how you doing? They wave to you if they don't know you. They invite you to come eat with them. And they always sometimes will have their guard up with people that talk different, whatever. Like they call you a city slicker. I'm like, damn, y'all really talk like that? Like people from New York, you trying to city slick me, trying to get over? I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to do regular business with you. I'm just talking fast or something. But they are in fear that people will come and take advantage of them because they might know a little bit more than them, or you know, they're taking their kindness for a certain element of weakness. That's how the other nations look. That's how Christopher Columbus looked at them. It's like, man, when he was in Europe around the barbarians and the Vikings and the Germanic tribes, they are so greedy and cutthroat, kill each other and backstab each other, and the Romans and this and that. They grew up around this environment where you can't trust each other like a New York City. Like they are more aggressive because they don't see anybody show love to anybody on a daily basis. They came over here and these people open up their door, locking the door, welcoming me to food. They're like, this nigga, I just met him yesterday. I'm in his house. He just went to the grocery store. I'm about to steal everything out of here. This is a walking lick. That's how they treated the Native Americans because of that. But that's how we are as a people in general. We're so kind and loving and open that the whole world has used that to enslave us. Yep. Let me see the one more one-on-one. Go ahead. You got something? No, I seen you raise your hand. Give me a homeborn slave. No, that's yeah. I know that's right around the corner. Slave. Is that Isaiah? No, that's Jeremiah 2:14. What time we got? 9. Go to 9:15. Let's see, looking at the chat. Anybody else have any questions? Shalom, brother from Fremont. Most High in Christ, huh? He said, my family don't mess with me no more. Yeah, Jeb or Big Boy, however, you know what I mean? You got a family here in the UPK, huh? That's the why. That's one thing about being an Israelite is we know our family is bigger than just the people we grew up with. Our family is a whole lot bigger than that, man. You got a family right here in One West. So I'm not sure if you're the brother that is in contact with certain brothers in the school. If not, I'm going to go ahead and put my number in the chat. You can reach out to me or reach out to anybody in the school at any given time. You can get in contact with us and we can make sure you can get to class. Let's see. Yo, got it?
Oh, come. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?
Right. One more time.
Come. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave?
Right. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Like that's something that just couldn't even be understood. Like, how in the hell did these niggas come from this level and now they're at this level, man? We have become homeborn slaves. We enjoy being in captivity. And that's going to bring me to this information about Stockholm Syndrome and coming out of captivity. That this is let me go ahead and send it to you. I think I sent it to you already, Nayat. On your phone. Like, we do it to ourselves. When even now, it took me to a certain level to think, okay, how is it that we walked out of slavery, right, and did not have a black meeting? It just doesn't make sense to me. But they literally destroyed our brains with no education so much that it was like a bunch of children running around, or like people where they tell you one part, right, where they make it seem like black people, we are just completely, the word they say we can't use no more, I'm gonna say slow or special people. Like, the white man made it seem like we were a race of special people, which is the reason why we needed them to be over us. But then they enslaved us and didn't give us any education, didn't allow us to think and grow. So we were like a group of special people, in essence. You know what I'm saying? So they watching these people and they look how they act. They don't know anything. Of course we should be ruling over them. What, are we gonna let them run a country or make decisions? They're retarded. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with them. But really what was wrong with us was them. You see what I'm saying? But we left from captivity and we were in a retarded state as a group. Not everybody. We had some intelligent people here. All of us were intelligent to a certain extent, but a lot of us didn't have the thoughts, or we had so much fear in us that we just went and started doing whatever they told us to do. We did not say, okay, we should not be with these people anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, Germany did that. The Nazis did it to the Jews. As soon as they got free, they like, okay, we gotta go. We need to get our own spot. We gotta get up out of here. So like, I had called Cap on accident. Shalom, y'all. Sir. I called you on accident, sir. I was just giving a brother your number. Yeah, I'm in the class. Yeah, come. Low curse. But yeah, what was you gonna say, Al?
Oh, sorry, sir. I was just gonna say that a good example is what they did to the Native Americans. They put them on reservations, and they sent the church to pretty much come and reteach them how to cultivate land, how to create clothing, and do all these things. When originally these people taught the settlers how to do these things.
Right.
And they turned into a people that couldn't pretty much provide for themselves.
Exactly. And that's pretty much, they did such a good job of that we walked into their ways. Like I said, how long did it take, even to this point, even through all the education that our people have had at this point, nobody looks back and says, why are we doing these things that the people that conquered us did? Like, it just, no one has gotten to that point except brothers in the UPK. Like, how long? It's been 400, 500 years. No one thought, like, damn, maybe there's something wrong with Christmas. Maybe there's something wrong with Thanksgiving. Maybe we didn't do this before we got here, and maybe we should stop doing this. And that is a very powerful revolutionary thing to do. instead of picking up guns and doing all this Black Panther shit, let's start with Thanksgiving. Let's start at home first. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me raise my family and do that. That might be a little bit more powerful than trying to rob this bank and get some money to this group over here, man. Like Spook sat by the door. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good intention, but a real revolutionary act would be, first, let's just control what we're eating. Right. It's like you got to go in the reverse too, and that's always how brothers come into the truth. If you notice that, everybody, pretty much the first law you all started doing was stop eating pork. Am I right or am I wrong? That's like the first step. It's the first step you did to get into this slavery. Is the first step to get out of it. You know, somebody did it. Whoever you was or your grandfather was, they broke. They knew they wasn't supposed to eat it. But all y'all grew up eating pork. Because your grandfather ate that pork. That was the first step into becoming a slave. That's the first step of getting out of slavery. Then you start cutting off the other sin. You start learning more laws. And you say, okay, I can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. That's the more and more you get free away from them. You understand? But go ahead, Salaki. I'm all over the place. Let me get this brother this number. Yeah, where we at? I said the homeborn slave. Yeah. Did you finish it? Come. All right. Let's go to the article. Yeah.
We're discussing Stockholm syndrome in relation to slavery. It refers to a psychological phenomenon where a captive person develops a bond or positive feelings toward the captive, their captive, potentially explaining why some enslaved people might show signs of loyalty or even defend their enslavement.
Right. It's one thing to be loyal to them. It's another thing to defend them, to stand up for them. And they all learned this from one example in Stockholm. It's a city in Europe where these people were robbing the bank, and they kept these people for a certain amount of time, and the people that they were kidnapping ended up caring for the robbers and the kidnappers and wanted to defend them and not wanting them to be harmed. That's how we have become in this place. We not only what does it say, have positive feelings for them or loyalty to them, even defend and stand up for them. There's no place that's better than America. I'll go and fight in the army for America. I'll die for America. There's no other place on earth that can be like this, even though all the things they've done to your people. Keep going.
Despite the horrific conditions they endured,
right,
essentially a form of psychological adaptation to a traumatic situation where the victim identifies with their abuser.
Damn. They identify with their abuser. So that's why he said you can no longer call yourself a Jew. So what can you call yourself now? What would they make them call themselves? Agreed. So they identify with their captor. Go ahead. Exactly, same thing. But yeah, the first step, when they took our identity away from being Jews and Israelites, they made call ourselves Greeks. So we had an identity that was tied to their identity. The same with being American. They enslaved you first, beat you down, and then they tell you you're an American, and now you protect America. Everything that represents America, that is Stockholm syndrome. Keep going. Power dynamics. Go down a little bit more. It says power dynamic.
Oh, yeah, power dynamic.
These next few things are important. Yep.
Stockholm syndrome thrives in situations with extreme power imbalances, which is directly mirrored in the relationship between slave owners, and enslaved people.
Right.
Survival mechanism. Mm-hmm. Some experts suggest that developing a connection with the captor could be a subconscious survival strategy in such dire circumstances. Right.
So that's the last part on that. Like, for one, it's saying it's such an imbalance of power that's what leads to you doing this. And they're saying, well, why would you lead to doing this? To survive. In order to survive, you have to go along with what they're doing. And you almost convince yourself that you love doing these things now. And then when your children are raised up, they don't even know that you was forced to even do it anyway. Like I said, like you had to learn not to eat pork. But you don't know there was a point in time in our history where someone forced your grandfather to eat pork. And eventually he broke, and that's how we're here. And they made it seem like this is our culture now. That we eat chitlins, we eat ham hocks, you get that good old, what's that, fat back or whatever, you know what I mean? You put that in the pot and grill it up, do this, do that, hog maws. That was our culture. We took more pride in it than white people. Like, they don't know nothing about no chitlins. That's us. They don't know nothing about this and that. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much enslaved we become, that we will fight to keep these things that was forced upon us. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Might pull one more precept. Let me see, Jeremiah 17:4. And we'll go ahead and close on out of here. Let's see. Yes, brother. Oh, I see the sister said, okay, Proverbs 10:2. I'll pull that precept as well, sis Salaki. Let's see. What? Jeremiah 17:4.
Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage
Right.
that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemy in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Exactly, man. Like, this is the prophecy from us. We will be discontinued from our heritage, and this is what it looks like. It's a bunch of people that does everything that everyone does and don't have anything of our own. And that's the other part too. The East Indian that'll celebrate Christmas and celebrate Thanksgiving, they have their own holidays to keep. The Chinese people, they celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, but they have their own New Year. They have a whole bunch of other days throughout the year that we don't know nothing about, we're not invited to. The Samoans, everybody else has things that are still their own culture. The Africans, they do on their own. We don't do anything outside of what everyone else does. We don't even have that. And so much so one thing they try to make up, at least for Judahites, was maybe we got two. They try to Kwanzaa, or however you say it. You know what I mean? Nigga try to make up a holiday, which is really Christmas with red and black and green colors on it. You know what I'm saying? But that's why this book is so important, man. This history, these records. I remember someone was telling me when they were in school, was a young sister. She said that when they asked her to come and talk about their culture and their history or something like that, and she was like, I don't know, I don't know what to say. Talk about slavery. I'm not, you know what I'm gonna do. So they didn't have no ideas on what to even tell them to say, and that's how they want us to feel. This book gives us a bigger history to go back past that. And even the last thing I'll leave you on, I saw a guy, he made a post, and I know it was in a righteous spirit. He was, talking mess about the oppressors. How did this kid go? He said, how your ancestors, he said, my ancestors looking down on me, they can be proud of me, even though just me going to the refrigerator. He was like, look at him. He's just walking to the refrigerator by himself, doing what he want to do. He said, me just, my boss telling me we need you to come into work, Jamal. No, I can't come into work. He said, my ancestors just proud. You know what I'm saying? He said, how can your ancestors be proud? He said, that you saying the N-word, if you don't call him a nigger, you know what I'm saying? Like, we died for you to be out here getting punked by these black people, basically. In his mind, it was funny to that point, but on a serious note, I'm like, man, we think all of our ancestors are slaves. That's it. That's the we. Well, our ancestors is just people that couldn't go where they wanted to go, couldn't do what they wanted to do, had to say yes or massa with just a bunch of niggas and savages and spics. Like that's what we think is our ancestors. When in reality, this book is showing us that the greatest men to walk planet Earth was our ancestors, and those people are not proud of us by saying no when you got to go to work, and they know you're still in slavery. They're not proud of you because you can walk around your house and go to the refrigerator by yourself. They're gonna be proud of us when we in rulership again. And you know what I mean? And I watched that movie, The Gladiator. I didn't finish it, the new one. I fell asleep in it. But one quote that I could take from that whole movie, and I'm trying to find it. I don't know if it's real or not, but he said, a slave doesn't dream of freedom. A slave dreams of owning another slave. Yeah. And I was like, I can get with that. Like a true slave's dream is not just of freedom, it's of owning another slave. And that's what we want in the UPK. Because that's a real free man. It's not just to be free and away from them and be equal. It's that we want the spot that y'all had over us. That's what we gonna fight for. You understand? All right. With that, we're gonna close out the class. Let's do it the right way. So we got some brothers here. You go ahead and call it. You know how to do it, Doc? This might be a good time. Now let's have this brother do it for now, and we'll show you later.
Individual, march, stand. Individual, going to give courtesy salute to the teacher of the class. Individual, homage to Bob. Homage, Barak. You have to walk, sit me out, rock, rock, thumb.
Individual.
Homage on top. Yeah, on the top. Individual. We're going to Sar, Yad Yum to the right, to face the sisters. We're going to give the courtesy salute to the sisters. Sar, Yad Yum. Individual, Hamad to Bob. Yahweh Shamar, Hamad, Barak, Yahweh Shamar. Individual. Sar, Yad Yum to top. Sar.
That's
Dismissed.
All right. But yeah, let me see. I should type that in the class chat for this brother. It's like if the brother from Fremont still on, I'm gonna type this number in for you. Let me see. It's a lot. If the sister still 10-2. That's a lot. Kayla, if you're still on, yeah, Proverbs 10-2, treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. Yeah, that is an excellent precept for Sean P. Diddy Combs. You know what I mean? That wickedness didn't profit him anything. What's the other precept go with that? What is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? That is what people have done for riches and wealth, to be living worse than if he would have just got a 9-to-5. You cannot trade me to go live in the penitentiary for the rest of my life or work the slavery that I got to. My brother made, and it's even worse if you had all those things. It may not be that bad if I had to go do life, and I ain't losing too much outside of my family. But he, you know what I mean? He lost in vacations that I'd never been on. He lost all types of things and planes and cars we never get to experience. And to live in a cell, that's gotta hurt even more, man. So the treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness deliver from death. And even if you don't end up in a situation like that, at the end of the day, the situation that when you have to answer to the Lord is going to show you it really don't profit anything at all. You understand? So whether you pay in this life or the next one, it's better to do what's right. All right, shalom.